What is up everyone? In this video, we will go through who are the best mercenary in the game. They are game changers, but not all of them are created equal. These little helper buddies who will be following you all the time and fighting all the monsters around you. Some will carry you through the toughest fight, and some, well, might just slow you down. If you are wondering which one to pick, this is the video you need. In this guide, I'm not just slapping a number on each mercenary and calling it a day, nope. We are doing a full breakdown of all 4 mercenaries, diving deep into their perks, active and passive skill, how they fit into different builds, and of course, ranking them from best to worst based on raw power, utility and how well they perform in the current meta. Whether you are looking for a tank, a support, a high damage assassin, or just trying to avoid picking the worst one, I have got you covered. So grab a snack, buckle up, and let's break down everything you need to know about Raheir, Subo, Varyana and Aldkin. And this is my opinion, my playstyle, so it may be different with yours. Alright, let's dive in. So taking the top spot and the crown goes to number 1 best mercenary of all time is Raheir the Shield Bearer. He is all about tanking, crowd control, and keeping you alive. He uses a shield, smashes the ground, taunt enemies, and most importantly, with his signature move, Valiant's perk. He steps in when you are about to take a big hit. This perk, Valiant's, triggers automatically when you are about to take damage equal to or greater than 15% of your current life. When that happens, Raheir rushes in, blocks the damage, knocks down nearby enemies, and grants you unstoppable for half a second. It is like a panic button that he pushes for you, however, it has a 30-second cooldown time. And yeah, it can be a literal lifesaver when enemies swarm onto you. Raheir has 2 unique combat paths, and depending on how you build him, he can either be a charging frontliner or a ground pounding tank king. If you want Raheir to be your frontline bruiser, go with the shield charge path. He dives into enemies with a shield bash, taunt everything in his way, and keeps more focus on him while you unload damage from a safe distance. There are 2 passives to choose between to support you. Raheir Guard gives you a solid armor boost, simple but crucial for squeezy classes. It is also perfect to use when you are transitioning to the next higher difficulty but low on armor. With this small boost can make your hero a little bit tankier. And Vanguard slows nearby enemies near Raheir, which helps you kite or reposition if needed. One of the iconic skills here is Provoke, a big AoE taunt that also gives you bonus damage reduction depending on how many enemies Raheir pulls in. It is a lifesaver during swarm or boss phases with lots of monsters. You will then choose between 2 passives for Provoke. Mocking Lure makes your damage hit harder against enemies he is taunted, so he is not just tanking, he is boosting your DPS too. Iron Wolf Ward improves Valiance even more. It knocks back close enemies, taunt distant one, and lower the cooldown by 35% for Valiance. Then there is Crater. Raheir slams the ground in a shockwave of heat that pulls enemies in and stun them. It is fantastic crowd control, especially when you are dealing with ranged enemies or elites that like to dodge. You can pair it with Iron Wolf Core. It gives you 4 free core skills after Valiance triggers, and they all deal bonus damage, amazing synergy for burst windows, and lowers the cooldown by 25% for Valiance. Or Sundering Shield lets Crater apply vulnerable on its final burst, which is a huge damage window. This whole build turns Raheir into a aggro machine. He is constantly pulling enemies, stunning them, boosting your damage, and saving your butt when things get dicey. Now, if you want more defense and reactive support, the Ground Slam build turns Raheir into a literal wall. His Ground Slam hits the ground with a big AoE shockwave that slows enemies, super useful for control and keeping enemies in place. This path also gives you 2 passive options to choose as well. Raheir Aegis gives you elemental resistance, which is huge against elite affixes or late game dungeon effects, and Draw Fire taunts enemies when you use a potion, which means you can use healing defensively and offensively. His second main ability here is Shield Throw. It bounces between targets, deal decent damage, and taunts enemies on hit. Great for pulling in scatter mobs or ranged threat. And here you have got two passive options to choose for. Iron Wolf Arrival causes Raheir to automatically cast Ground Slam and Shield Throw when Valiance kicks in, giving you instant control and taunts right when you need them most, and also reduces the cooldown by 35% of Valiance. Consecrated Shield causes enemies hit by Shield Throw to become consecrated, meaning every time you damage them, you get healed. But the real star of this build, Bastion. Raheir redirects some of the damage you take onto himself, so if you are playing something glassy like a rogue or sorcerer, he is a walking safeguard that buys you tons of extra breathing room. You have got two passive options to choose as well. Inspiration gives your whole party a damage buff after he slam or shield, so even as a tank, he is feeding into your burst damage. Iron Wolf Virtue heals you when Valiance trigger and even reduce the cooldown by 35% of Valiance, which turn Valiance from a panic button into a reliable sustain tool. This build is all about battlefield control, damage reduction, and sustain. It is perfect for tougher endgame content where staying alive is just as important as dishing out damage. Raheir is one of the most dependable mercenary right now. No matter what classes you are playing, if you are struggling to stay alive in endgame content or want to push higher tier of the pit, he is the one. He's like your personal bodyguard who literally jumps in the way of danger. He is also perfect if you are playing a squeezy DPS build like Sorcerer or Rogue and you want someone to tank, control mobs, and save your neck when things go sideways. Build him right, level him up, and Raheir will keep you alive longer than most players in a Bloodhouse. Coming in hot at number 2, a close contender, and that is Subo, the Bounty Hunter. A tactical genius with a crossbow, a belt full of explosives, and an eye for high value targets. He's not your typical tank, he's the guy who makes tanks panic. Subo all about control, setup, and bursting the right enemy at the right time. He got crowd control tools, nasty traps, and a passive that helps you regenerate your class resources. The more strategic your playstyle, the more value you will squeeze out of Subo. Subo's signature perk is called Seeker, and here's what it does. Passively, he reveals all nearby enemies and material. Super useful for navigating dungeons, fighting hidden earlies, or just avoiding nasty ambushes. But when activated, Subo marks a target, and if that target dies within 10 seconds, you will get 50% of your max resource back, and Seeker cooldown is cut by 10 seconds. Yeah, it is kind of insane. You can chain this mob packs or use it to dump all your cooldowns on a boss face and bounce right back. You have got two main choices when it comes to how Subos fight. Your choice between Wire Trap and Molotov should align with your tactical preferences. Control and stun with Wire Trap, or area denial and damage over time with Molotov. Alright, so if you are going with the Wire Trap build, you are turning Subo into a tactical control master. He's not just throwing trap for fun, he's disabling elites, setting up vulnerable windows, and letting you go full murder mode while enemies stand there, helpless. You start with Wire Trap, obviously a trap that stuns and sets the tone for how Subo plays. It is about controlling space. This path gives him a bow which unlocks heavy shot, a single target shot that stuns, super handy for locking down key targets or stopping an elite from casting something nasty. Pair it with piercing arrows and his basic attack goes straight through targets, really nice for hitting tight packs or lining up shots. Or if you need some speed, you can go with Ready at Hand. You will get a nice speed boost when he hits elites, so he's not just laying trap, he's repositioning fast as well. Going down to cover fire, this skill lets Subo shoot a volley of arrows that slow enemies in the area. It is perfect for zoning and controlling group of enemies. You will want to pair this with opening fire, which boosts your crit damage against slow enemies. If you like to slow enemies down and follow up with powerful crits, this is your go-to skill for high damage and tactical control. Pincushion may not be a good choice, but if you prefer to immobilize enemies instead of dealing bonus damage, Then you can take Pincushion to turn the slow into an immobilize. That combo locks enemies down and keeps them right where you want them. Great for both defense and follow-up damage. Trip mines are all about area control and punishing movement. Subo scatter trap that knock enemies down on detonation. Great for holding choke points or interrupting at once. Now pair that with loaded munition and anyone caught become vulnerable, meaning your entire team hits them harder. Or go with Mastermind to make those mines hit a wider area and keep enemies down longer. This line all about zone denial, crowd control, and setting up high damage window. Perfect if your men thrive on hitting vulnerable targets, or you just like watching enemies fly. Now if you are more of the set it on fire and ask question later type, the Molotov build is your jam. Subo focus shift from lockdown to high, chaotic area damage, and it feels amazing in open fight or against tightly packed mobs. You take Molotov as your core skill, trading the stun trap for a burning pool of chaos, great for softening up packs and locking down zone with lingering damage. This build equips him with a crossbow, which unlocks Salvo, a rapid volley of bolt that ends with a slowing shot. Fantastic for pressure and sustained damage. With Scorched Earth, enemies hit by that initial pop take more damage over time, which stacks beautifully if you got burn or poison on your main character. And share a drink, that's just keep you top off. 50% chance to drop a potion on Molotov explosion. It is underrated but clutch in longer fight. Going down to snipe, it is your precision shot. It pierces, it knocks back, and with incendiary bolt, if Subo hits his target dead on, he triggers an Molotov explosion on them. That's instant synergy with your core burn skill. Burst plus damage over time in one slick move. Or you can go with Ambusher, which gives you increased lucky hit chance against enemies that got tagged by his salvo. If you want burst and aggressive play, ideal if you want to stay in the action and keep Subo toolkit on a short leash, then grab explosive charge, sticky bomb that blow up after a delay, or instantly if you land an overpower or a kill. It is fun, it is flashy, and with the right passive, it gets very spicy. Add on with Thrill Seeker, every explosion knocks time off your cooldown, so you are cycling skill faster and keeping momentum high. Or grab bargaining chips to boost overpower damage the more charges you have got stacked. Great if your main build leans into overpower. Most players pick Subo for one reason, his Seeker perk. It reveals all nearby enemies and material, making it way easier to scout, plan, and kill. It is a huge utility boost, especially for hardcore or open world farming runs. But heads up, Seeker doesn't boost damage or give any protection. It is all intel, no punch. And the best skill line for him leans into control and setup, Fire Trap to stun and catch enemies off guard, Piercing Arrows to hit clean through packs, Cover Fire to slow the field, and Opening Fire to cash in with higher crease on those low targets. This combo keeps enemies locked down and open the door for your main to absolutely clean house. Subo won't top the damage chart, but he will make sure you do. Up next, landing in third place. Solid but not a standout, she is Varyana, the Berserker Crone. A feral force of brutality and control who fights at your side. She's not settled, she doesn't sneak, she charges in, cleaving through enemies or smashing the earth beneath them. And she only gets faster and deadlier you both become. Her core mechanic is the Massacre perk, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Every time you and Varyana land a kill, it grants a stacking movement speed buff, up to a total of 20% bonus speed. This perk doesn't just amplify Varyana momentum, it syncs your fury with her, making the battlefield feel like a storm of blades and fury that only escalate. The more enemies you both kill, the more relentless the duel becomes. Varyana cleaving forward and you right behind her, feeding off the same blood-soaked momentum. It is that momentum that defines how you build her, whether you go for a bleeding frenzy with cleave or a shockwave heavy lockdown build that controls the entire battlefield. Let's take a closer look at both styles and how they synergize with your own carnage. If you are looking to turn Varyana into a relentless, the Cliff build is for you. This path leans hard into speed and sustained bleed damage, making her feel like an unstoppable force once the fight gets going. Her core skill, Cliff, lets her swing through enemies with dual axes, carving them up and leaving a nasty bleed behind. Once that damage over time starts stacking, enemies won't last long. For her passive here, you have got two powerful options. Take Recklessness to make enemies hit by Cliff become vulnerable, giving you a solid damage spike, or go with Hysteria, which stacks your attack speed every time she hits, up to a wow plus 10% bonus. If you want longer fights and more momentum, Hysteria feels amazing. If you want quicker kills, Recklessness is your pick. The iconic skill to pair with Cliff is Bloodthirst. When it triggers, she goes into full frenzy, increase 30% attack speed, 200% movement speed, and unstoppable. You also gain plus 10% attack speed while she's raging. It is the turning point in every fight, the moment when Varyana become a blur of steel and scream. But even Bloodthirst needs a passive. And here you have got a meaningful choice. Bloodlust boosts more attack speed for you while she's raging. So if you are leaning into offensive momentum, that's the one. On the other hand, Intimidated makes nearby enemies deal less damage while she's in frenzy, perfect if you want survivability during the chaos. Now for her secondary iconic skill, Whirlwind. It is a mobile bleed engine. She dashes and spins, hitting everything around her, and if you attach no escape, it pulls enemies in and increases her spin radius, perfect for crowd control and grouping out foes. Or you may want to pair it with Taste of Flesh. It lets you heal every time she damages a bleeding enemy. So while she is carving through mobs, you are getting steady sustain in return. This Cliff setup is simple but brutal. Vulnerability sets them up, bleed wears them down, and Bloodthirst turns her into a rampaging blender. If your playstyle is all about pressure, speed, and overwhelming force, this is the path. Now, if you'd rather have Varyana feels like a walking earthquake, blowing, stunning, and knocking down everything in her path, the Shockwave build is where you want to be. This setup focuses on control, burst, and disruption. It all starts with Shockwave, a core skill that slams the ground and knocks enemies off their feet. It is a very powerful way to open a fight or interrupt dangerous foe. Her passive takes that control to the next level. Crushing Force gives her a chance to knock enemies down just from regular attacks. Or go with Reprisal. If you get crowd control, she leaps straight to the enemies responsible and knock them flat. That alone can save your life. From there, she can follow up with Earthbreaker, a devastating ground pound that causes tremors and repeatedly knocks down anyone standing in it. It is brutal and it is hard for enemies to recover from. With Rampage, ensure you deal more damage to anything she locking down, while Dismembering guarantees your next hit overpowers right after Earthbreaker, meaning you get massive burst damage when it counts. And her secondary iconic skill, Ancient Harpoons. She launches 3 forward, piercing enemies and yanking them back with a hard stun. It is perfect for pulling ranged enemies into melee, lining up elites, or setting you up for massive area damage. Add on with Annihilator, it slows enemies hit by the harpoon and gives you a big lucky hit chance against them, which is perfect for builds that rely on procs or utility effects. Or going with Iron Grip takes it further, letting the harpoons reach farther and drastically reduce the target's resistance to impairment, basically making them way easier to stun, slow, or freeze. If you like crowd control the flow of battle, locking enemies down, and making every skill hit like a truck, the Shockwave build is the clear winner. It is precise, powerful, and punishing for anything that gets too close. Whether you go with Blitzfield Frenzy or Shockwave powered lockdown, Varyana is all about turning the tide of your battle in your favor. She's brutal, reactive, and a perfect partner when the chaos hits full tilt. And in last place, Aldkin, the Cursed Child. Half child, half demon, Aldkin is your caster. He can shapeshift into a demon to fight by your side. Utilizing magic to support you, Aldkin brings devastating magic with a twist, shadow and fire path, each offering powerful playstyle with high impact skills. If you are looking for a mercenary who brings more than just support, Aldkin the Cursed Child is your answer. Aldkin is a ranged spellcaster infused with demonic power. He can build around shadow or fire magic, each path offering unique damage, control, and chaos. Before we walk through both builds, let's take a look at his perk. Blasphemous Faith. Occasionally, he loses control, transforming into a demon based on your chosen path. In shadow form or nearby enemies, you and Aldkin himself become vulnerable, opening up massive burst windows. In fire form, his attacks inflict additional burn, but at the cost of draining his resource every second. It is risky, unpredictable, and absolutely game-changing if used right. So let's start with the Shadow Path, Haunt. This skill sends out ghostly spirits that latch onto enemies, dealing damage over time. What makes it so deadly is how those spirits jump to nearby target when they kill something. It turns Aldkin into a chain reaction of haunting damage. It is perfect when you are up against wave of enemies or just want steady pressure in a fight. To support that, you have got two options. Terrify is the go-to if you are building around burst windows. It makes enemies vulnerable, giving you and your allies the chance to unload big damage when it counts. But if you are more focused on crowd control, Exhaustion gives you a chance to daze enemies, shutting down their abilities and locking them in place. Both are excellent. It just depends on your approach. Now comes the big decision, your iconic skill. If you want to go full aggression, take Chain of Soul. It chain multiple enemies, apply shadow damage over time, and then explode for massive AoE and a stun. It is your clear, your burst, and your control all in one. You will then choose between two passive for Chain of Soul. Amplify suffering lets you trigger the explosion early just by attacking cursed enemy. It is aggressively and super satisfying when you are in rhythm. Or pick Share Pain. This one reduces Chain of Soul cooldown when a chain target dies. If you prefer more control and utility, go with Feel of Language instead. This creates a slowing feel that also reduces enemy damage. It is subtle, but it gives you breathing room, especially in boss fight or tight elite packs. You have got two passive options here as well. Paranoia increases Aldkin damage to slow enemies and even adds a chance to daze. You will get great synergy if you already gone with other CC in your setup. Condemn, on the other hand, is brutal. It gives Aldkin the ability to execute low health enemies outright, but not on the big one. It is Clean Up mode, total battlefield control. Now, if you are the kind of player who loves setting everything on fire and watching it burn, then Flame Surge is where you want to go. This ability channels a cone of flame directly in front of Aldkin, dealing steady damage while burning everything in its path. It is relentless. You want to hold the line and push forward? Flame Surge is made for that. For passive, Covered in Ash is your control option. It slows enemies and stacking additional burn, which helps you kite or keep distance while still doing damage. Raging Violence is the team play pick. It boosts critical hit chance against burning enemies for you and your allies. Amazing in group fight and synergy focused build. Then we come to the iconic fire skill. First up is Storm of Fire, a spinning vortex of flame that burns and staggers everything in its radius. It is heavy AoE and great for clustered enemies. You can pair it with Eradication, which makes enemies explode on death. It is incredible for farming or chain kills, or go with Ember Gift if you prefer longer uptime. It restores your resources while you are standing in the firestorm area. That means more casting, more burning, more pressure. The other option is Wave of Flame, a fiery shockwave that knocks enemies back and destroys incoming projectiles. It is great for when you need space or want to interrupt tough targets. You will then choose between Burning Chaos, which resets the skill cooldown every time you use your ultimate. Perfect for high skill, burst focused players. or Raging Havoc, which increases damage over time damage to enemies you have knocked back. If you love control turning into burn, that's the pick. So whether you are hunting enemies from the shadow or burning them to ash, Aldkin adapts to your style. Pick your path, choose your skill and passive wisely, and lean into the chaos. Because with the right build, Aldkin isn't just a follower, Aldkin is your ace in the fight. Alright, now that we have gone through every mercenary, let's wrap it all up with a final comparison and explain why each one ranks where they do. Raheir takes the crown as the #1 mercenary, and it is not even close. His Valiance perk doesn't just soak damage, it knocks down nearby enemies and gives you a moment of unstoppable, letting you break out of crowd control and reposition. His skill, Shield Charge and Ground Slam are loaded with control and defense. We are talking Fortify, Stuns, Slows, and even Taunts. Raheir is the frontline tank every squishy build dream of. He might not deal the flashiest damage, but in terms of raw value, survivability, and utility, he is the most reliable companion in the game right now. Coming in at number 2 is Subo, the elite hunting assassin. His Seeker perk is all about smart targeting. It marks nearby enemies and material on your minimap, and when you eliminate those targets, you get resources back and reduce the Seeker cooldown. His Wire Trap and Molotov skill offer nasty crowd control and amplify damage over time effect like poison or bleed. Subo isn't just tanky as Raheir, but his value lies in picking off high priority targets and melting bosses fast. If you are running a range, damage over time heavy, or crit focus build, Subo is your guy. Varyana the Berserker Clone takes the 3rd spot. Her Massacre perk gives you movement speed on kill, which is perfect for faster paced build or dungeon clears. She swings hard with Cliff and Shockwave, applying Blitz, speeding up your attack rate, and debuffing enemies with Vulnerable. She is aggressive, stylish, and effective in mob heavy content, but she is a bit fragile and lacks consistent in tougher, boss driven encounters, great for AoE, less so for sustained single target pressure. And finally, in 4th place, we have got Aldkin. He's got a cool team, don't get me wrong, but his blasphemous fate perks is a double-edged sword. Sure, he can transform into demon and boost damage, but while in that form, he drains your resource whenever he deals damage. His Horn and Flame Surge skill tree brings curses and damage over time to the table, but the value isn't quite there in endgame content. He's too situational, and his transformation can actively backfire if you are not paying attention. It is a neat idea, but risky to bring into high-stake fight. So to recap, Raheir is the ultimate tank and control expert. Stable, strong, and always useful. Subo is your precision killer, fragile but deadly when used right. Varyana brings mobility and AoE mayhem, but needs protection. And Aldkin, while unique, just can't keep up with the other in terms of reliability or raw impact. And that's gonna do it for this full mercenary breakdown. If this guide helped you out, or if you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss on more Diablo 4 content, tips, and farming strategy. So stick around and hey, sound off in the comments. Who's your favorite mercenaries? Did I rank them right? Or did your favorite get done dirty? Let's talk about it down below. Alright, thanks for watching, take care out there in Sanctuary, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.